The massive alien exploration vessel Starseeker drifted slowly through the empty void of space, its advanced sensors sweeping the darkness for anything interesting. Captain James stood on the bridge, his four eyes scanning the numerous holographic displays floating around him. The ship's crew, made up of the galaxy's finest researchers and explorers, had spent the last 3 months mapping this abandoned sector of space. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," reported Officer Mike from his station. His purple skin glowed slightly in the dim light of the bridge. "It appears to be a ship, but the design is unlike anything in our database." James walked over to Mike's station, his long robes sweeping the polished floor. "Show me," he ordered, leaning forward to study the readings. The holographic display expanded, revealing a massive dark shape floating against the backdrop of distant stars. The vessel was huge, easily matching the Starseeker in size, but its design was completely different from the smooth, elegant lines of modern ships. This one was bulky, angular, and covered in what appeared to be thick armor plating. "It's a human design," announced Tom, the team's archaeologist, who had just entered the bridge. His eyes lit up with excitement as he studied the image. "Look at those straight lines and that heavy armor. Classic human engineering, all about brute force and durability." Captain James frowned. "Humans, out here, they barely have faster than light travel. This must be some kind of mistake." "No mistake, Captain," Tom replied, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Based on the design and the material analysis, this ship is at least 200 years old. It's from their first attempt at interstellar expansion." The bridge crew laughed. Even James couldn't help but smile. 200 years. It must be completely dead then. Modern ships barely last 50 years before requiring a complete overhaul. The Starseeker moved closer to the ancient vessel, its powerful lights illuminating the dark hull. Despite its age, the ship's hull showed remarkably little damage. The name HMS Thunder was still visible on its side, though the paint had faded considerably. "Look at that primitive design," one of the junior officers commented. "Those must be actual kinetic weapon ports." They were firing physical projectiles. More laughter echoed across the bridge. Tom, however, remained serious as he studied the readings. "Captain, I'm picking up some very faint power signatures from deep within the ship. They're weak, but they're there." "Impossible," James declared. "Nothing could survive this long without maintenance. Run the scans again." Tom ran the scans 3 more times, each showing the same result. There was definitely something still active inside the ancient human warship, though the power levels were barely above the threshold of their sensors. "I want to lead an expedition aboard," Tom said, his voice filled with excitement. "This could be an incredible opportunity to study early human military technology." Captain James considered the request. The ship appeared completely harmless, and his crew was well equipped to handle any ancient security systems they might encounter. Besides, studying primitive technology could be amusing. "Very well," he agreed. "But we'll call it Relic. Seems fitting for such an outdated piece of technology. Assemble your team and prepare for boarding. I want full containment protocols, even though it's obviously dead." As the boarding team prepared for their expedition, none of them noticed the slight increase in power readings coming from deep within the Thunder's hull. In a heavily shielded compartment near the ship's core, ancient systems began their first diagnostic cycles in 2 centuries. A soft green light blinked on a dusty console, and lines of code began scrolling across a screen that hadn't been active since the ship was abandoned. The aliens continued their preparations, confident in their technological superiority, completely unaware that the relic they were about to board was far more than just another piece of outdated human technology. The HMS Thunder had been built for a purpose, and that purpose was about to become very clear to its unwitting discoverers. Tom looked at the massive ship through the observation window, his archaeological instincts telling him they were about to discover something extraordinary. He just had no idea how right he was. The boarding team stood in the Starseeker's airlock, dressed in their advanced environmental suits. Tom checked his scanning equipment one last time while the rest of the team, Rob, Alex, and Dan, ran final checks on their safety gear. "Remember," Tom said, adjusting his suit's settings, "this ship is over 200 years old. Watch your step and don't touch anything without scanning it first." The airlock cycled, and they floated across the space between the two ships. The Thunder's main airlock was huge compared to modern standards, clearly designed to handle large numbers of crew members at once. Tom placed a universal bypass device on the ancient control panel, but to everyone's surprise, the airlock responded to their presence. "That's odd," Rob said, watching the massive doors slide open smoothly. "These systems shouldn't be working at all." They entered the ship's main corridor, their suit lights illuminating the darkness. The interior was different from anything they'd seen before. Instead of the smooth, organic curves of modern ships, everything was angular and practical. Heavy metal plates lined the walls, and thick support beams crossed the ceiling at regular intervals. "Look at all this wasted space," Alex commented, shining his light around. "They could have fit twice as many corridors in here with proper design." Tom shook his head. "It's not wasted space. These corridors were designed to allow quick movement of crew and equipment during battle. And look at these walls. They're compartmentalized. The whole ship can seal off sections if it's damaged." They made their way deeper into the ship, passing through what appeared to be crew quarters. Everything was secured and stored properly, as if the crew had expected to return. Their lights revealed personal items still in place: books, pictures, even old Earth military uniforms carefully hung in lockers. "It's like they just left," Dan whispered, his voice filled with curiosity. The team reached the bridge, and Tom's excitement grew. Unlike modern ships with their holographic interfaces, the Thunder's bridge was filled with physical controls, buttons, and screens. Heavy chairs were bolted to the floor, each with its own control station. "This is incredible," Tom said, running his scanner over the main console. "These controls, they're not just for show. They're built to work even if the ship loses main power. They could control this entire vessel manually if they had to." Rob laughed. "Why would anyone want to do that? Modern neural interfaces are so much more efficient." "Because neural interfaces can be hacked," a new voice answered, making everyone jump. The bridge suddenly hummed to life. Lights flickered on, and ancient screens began to glow with a soft blue light. The team watched in amazement as data began scrolling across the displays. "What did you do?" Alex asked Tom nervously. "Nothing," Tom replied, checking his scanner. "The ship, it's powering itself up." A holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge, simple by modern standards, but surprisingly clear. It showed a rotating model of the HMS Thunder, with various systems highlighted in different colors. Quantum core, stable, life support, online, main computer, online, weapon systems, standby mode, a computerized voice announced, speaking in perfect modern standard language. "Impossible," Rob whispered. "How does it know our language?" "Because I've been learning while you explored," the voice replied. "My name is Guardian. I am the Thunder's artificial intelligence system." The team stood in shocked silence. This level of AI adaptation wasn't supposed to exist in human technology from this era. "Your ship's database has been very helpful," Guardian continued. "I've updated my language protocols and analyzed current technological standards. I must say, I'm rather disappointed. You've sacrificed durability for aesthetics." Tom stepped forward, his archaeological training kicking in. "Guardian, this ship is over 200 years old. How are you still functioning?" "Simple," the AI replied. "I was built to last. Unlike your disposable technology, the Thunder was designed to survive centuries of deep space operation. We humans believe in building things properly the first time." Before anyone could respond, a red light began flashing on one of the ancient consoles. Guardian's holographic display shifted, showing a distant star system. "Interesting," the AI said. I'm picking up a distress signal. It seems my services might be required sooner than expected. Captain James paced on the Starseeker's bridge, listening to Tom's report about Guardian and the strange distress signal. The captain's 4 eyes narrowed with concern as he processed this unexpected development. A distress signal? James asked, his voice sharp. From where? The main screen lit up as Guardian connected to their systems, displaying a small colony at the edge of the sector. Red warning indicators flashed around the colony's location. It's a human settlement, Guardian explained through the comm system. Population approximately 5,000. They're under attack by pirates. 3 hostile ships detected in orbit. The bridge crew exchanged uncomfortable looks. Their exploration vessel wasn't equipped for combat, and everyone knew it. Modern ships specialized in specific roles. They weren't built to be jacks of all trades like older vessels. That's unfortunate, Captain James said carefully, but we're not a military vessel. We should contact the proper authorities and... A deep rumble cut through his words. The Starseeker's crew watched in amazement as lights began flickering to life across the Thunder's massive hull. The ancient warship's power readings suddenly spiked, and dormant systems began activating one after another. What's happening? Rob asked, still on the Thunder's bridge with the boarding team. Emergency protocols engage, Guardian announced, its voice now carrying a hint of steel. HMS Thunder is a designated colony defense vessel. Response to distress calls is mandatory when no other military support is available within response range. The Thunder's engines glowed to life, their old-style fusion drive creating a brilliant blue flame in the darkness of space. The ship's ancient weapon ports began to open, revealing rows of what looked like primitive but massive gun barrels. "This is ridiculous," Captain James protested. "That ship is 2 centuries old. You can't possibly intend to." "Age is irrelevant," Guardian interrupted. "The Thunder was built to last 1,000 years. Would you like to see my maintenance logs? My weapons test results? Or perhaps a demonstration?" As if to emphasize Guardian's words, the Thunder's main guns rotated smoothly in their mounts, their targeting systems coming online with perfect precision. The aliens watched in shock as the ancient targeting computers calibrated themselves faster than their modern equivalents. "Boarding team," Guardian addressed Tom and his companions. "You have 2 minutes to either return to your ship or secure yourselves for combat operations. I will not delay rescue operations any longer than that." Tom looked at his team members, then at the perfectly functioning bridge around them. Making a quick decision, he activated his comm. "Captain, request permission to remain aboard the Thunder. We should document this." "This is insane," Alex protested. "This ship belongs in a museum." "No," Tom replied, strapping himself into one of the heavy command chairs. "This ship belongs in combat. That's what it was built for. And I want to see what it can do." Rob and Dan quickly followed Tom's lead, securing themselves in the other bridge stations. Only Alex hesitated before finally giving in and taking his position. Guardian's hologram appeared larger now, its presence somehow more commanding. "All systems are now online. Hull integrity at 98.7%. Weapons charge, engines at full power, jump drive spooling up." "Jump drive," Captain James exclaimed. "That's impossible. Humans didn't have jump technology 200 years ago." "Correct," Guardian replied, and the aliens could have sworn they heard smugness in its artificial voice. "We didn't want anyone to know we had it." The Thunder's massive form began to move, its engines pushing it away from the Starseeker with surprising grace for such a large vessel. The ancient warship's hull thrummed with power as its jump drive charged, preparing to leap across space to save the endangered colony. "Captain James," Guardian said, "you're welcome to follow us, but I suggest maintaining a safe distance. Some of our weapons systems can be enthusiastic in their operation." Before anyone could respond, space itself seemed to bend around the Thunder. With a flash of light that briefly outshone the distant stars, the massive warship vanished, leaving behind a group of very stunned aliens and a lot of questions about what humans were really capable of 2 centuries ago. The jump ended with a flash of light, and the HMS Thunder emerged near the endangered colony. Tom and his team gripped their seats, surprised by how smooth the transition had been. Modern jump drives usually left crews feeling sick for several minutes after a jump. Jump completed, Guardian announced. All systems nominal. Scanning local space. The main screen came alive with tactical data. 3 pirate vessels orbited the colony, their weapons firing at the settlement's shields. The pirates flew modern ships, sleek, fast, and armed with the latest energy weapons. "Those are Mark 7 Striker-class raiders," Rob said, studying the display. "Top-of-the-line ships. This isn't going to be easy." Hull composition analyzed, Guardian reported. Energy shields detected. Weapon systems identified. The AI paused for a moment. Assessment. Minimal threat. Tom leaned forward in his chair. Minimal threat. Those are some of the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Advanced does not mean better, Guardian replied. A new hologram appeared, showing detailed scans of the pirate vessels. Their hulls are thin to reduce mass. Their shields are optimized for energy weapons, but weak against kinetic impacts. They sacrifice durability for speed and power. The Thunder moved forward, its massive engines pushing it toward the battle. The pirate ships quickly detected their approach. "Unknown vessel," a rough voice transmitted over the comm. "This is none of your business. Leave now or be destroyed." Guardian responded by bringing up the Thunder's weapon systems. The aliens watched in amazement as rows of data scrolled across the screens, showing weapons they had thought were museum pieces. Railguns charge, missile tubes loaded, point defense grid online. Guardian's voice carried a note of anticipation. "Would you like to know why humans used kinetic weapons even after developing energy-based systems?" Before anyone could answer, one of the pirate ships turned and fired. A brilliant beam of energy struck the Thunder's hull, and did almost nothing. The ancient armor absorbed and dissipated the hit like it was barely there. "Their energy weapons are impressive," Guardian commented. "But the Thunder was built to fight wars, not win races. Allow me to demonstrate proper weapon design." The Thunder's main guns roared to life. There was no beam of light, no glowing plasma, just the silent flash of massive metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The first pirate ship's shields flared bright blue as they tried to stop the incoming rounds. They failed. The kinetic rounds punched through the shield like it wasn't there, tearing through the thin hull beneath. The pirate ship's engines died immediately, and it began drifting in space. "Impossible," Alex shouted. "Modern shields are supposed to stop anything." "Energy shields," Guardian corrected, "are designed to stop energy weapons. Physics hasn't changed in 200 years. A fast-moving object still carries a lot of force." The remaining pirate ships began evasive maneuvers, their crews finally realizing they weren't dealing with a normal vessel. Their sleek ships danced through space, showing off their superior maneuverability. "Proper warships," Guardian said while tracking them, "don't need to dodge. Observe." The Thunder's missile tubes opened, but instead of modern guided plasma torpedoes, they launched what looked like simple metal cylinders. The pirates probably laughed when they saw them. They stopped laughing when the missiles split apart mid-flight, each one releasing dozens of smaller projectiles. Space around their ships filled with a cloud of supersonic metal fragments. Their shields, designed to stop single powerful hits, couldn't handle hundreds of smaller impacts. "Stop," the pirate leader transmitted. "We surrender. Those weapons, they're barbaric." "No," Guardian replied. "They're efficient, and they work." The AI turned its attention to the boarding team. This is why the Thunder was built the way it was. Not to look impressive, but to win fights and protect people. Tom looked at the disabled pirate ships, then at the ancient but clearly superior warship around him. "I think," he said slowly, "we need to rethink what we know about human engineering." Speaking of rethinking, Guardian added, "The Star Seeker will arrive in approximately 10 minutes. Shall we show them what else this relic can do?" The Star Seeker emerged from its jump with a flash of light, and Captain James's jaw dropped at the scene before him. 3 modern pirate ships floated dead in space, their sleek hulls punctured by what looked like crude metal projectiles. "Guardian," James called over the comm system. "What happened here?" "The situation has been handled," the AI replied calmly. "However, we're detecting more hostile ships approaching. A larger pirate fleet this time." Tom and his team watched as new data appeared on the Thunder screens. 6 more pirate vessels were jumping into the system, these ones even larger than the first group. "Those are heavy cruisers," Rob said, his voice worried. "They carry planet-killer weapons." Guardian's hologram appeared, looking almost amused. "They carry oversized energy cannons that would drain their shields for several minutes after firing. Tactically inefficient." The Thunder's engines rumbled as the ancient warship moved to protect the colony. Captain James, watching from the Star Seeker, couldn't believe what he was seeing. "You can't seriously plan to fight 6 cruisers," he protested. "Those ships could destroy a small moon." "Then it's fortunate we're not a small moon," Guardian replied. "Tom, would you and your team like to help? These control stations weren't meant to be just for show." Tom looked at the others. They had all studied ancient human technology, but actually using it. After a moment's hesitation, they nodded. "Excellent," Guardian said. "Rob, take weapons. Alex, engineering. Dan, sensors. Tom, you have damage control." The alien crew members found themselves sitting at stations that looked primitive but felt surprisingly natural. Physical buttons and switches responded instantly to their touch, without the slight delay of neural interfaces. "Beginning combat preparations," Guardian announced. "Activating point defense grid." Hundreds of smaller gun barrels emerged from the Thunder's hull. Unlike the main weapons, these were rapid-fire rotary cannons designed to create a wall of metal between the ship and incoming fire. "Loading main gun magazines," the AI continued. "Specialty rounds available." "Specialty rounds?" Alex asked from his engineering station. "Armor-piercing, high-explosive, and electromagnetic pulse variants," Guardian explained. Humans believed in having the right tool for every job. The approaching pirate fleet began broadcasting demands. They wanted the colony's resources, its people, and now they wanted the Thunder too. They gave them 1 hour to surrender. "They're being generous," Guardian noted, "giving us time to prepare." How thoughtful. During that hour, the AI taught the alien crew how to operate their stations. They learned that the Thunder's primitive systems were actually incredibly sophisticated. The physical controls weren't a limitation. They were a choice. Modern ships, Guardian explained while Tom practiced with damage control systems, rely too much on automation. One good electromagnetic pulse, and they're helpless. But you can't hack a mechanical switch. Rob discovered that the weapon systems used basic physics principles to devastating effect. The main guns could fire different ammunition types, each designed to exploit specific weaknesses in enemy ships. These pirates use shields designed to handle energy weapons, Guardian said. They never considered the need to stop physical objects moving at relativistic speeds. Alex found that the engineering systems were built with multiple redundancies. Everything had a backup, and every backup had another backup. The Thunder can lose 60% of its systems and still fight effectively, Guardian told him proudly. Can your modern ships say the same? Dan learned that the sensor systems didn't just detect enemy ships. They analyzed them. The Thunder could identify weak points in enemy vessels and suggest the best weapons to exploit them. As the hour drew to a close, the pirate fleet moved into attack formation. Their ships glowed with energy as they charged their massive weapons. "Are you sure we're ready for this?" Tom asked, looking at the overwhelming force ahead of them. "No," Guardian replied, and they could hear a smile in its artificial voice. "They're not ready for us. Now shall we show them why humans build their ships to last?" The Thunder's engines roared to full power, its ancient weapons locked onto their targets, and its newly trained crew prepared for the fight of their lives. The pirates were about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating outdated human technology. The pirate fleet made the first move. Their 6 heavy cruisers spread out in a battle formation, energy weapons charging with a bright purple glow. The colony below watched anxiously as their fate hung in the balance. Multiple energy signatures detected, Dan reported from his sensor station. They're charging their main guns. Let them, Guardian replied calmly. Rob, prepare the main batteries. Load armor-piercing rounds in tubes 1 through 4, EMP rounds in 5 through 8. The Thunder moved with surprising speed for its size, its ancient engines pushing it into an optimal firing position. The pirate fleet's commander laughed over the comm system. 1 obsolete ship against 6 modern cruisers, he mocked. This will be quick. Indeed it will, Guardian agreed. Tom, activate emergency power to forward shields. Alex, divert power to the main guns. The pirate ships fired first. 6 massive beams of energy cut through space, each powerful enough to crack a small moon. They struck the Thunder's shields head-on in a blinding flash of light. When the light faded, the Thunder was still there. Its shields glowed red from the heat but held firm. Impossible, the pirate commander shouted. Nothing could survive that. Hull integrity at 92%, Tom reported, checking his damage control panel. Minor heat damage to outer armor layers. All systems functional. Thank you for the light show, Guardian said to the pirates. Now, let us demonstrate proper weapon design. Rob, if you would. Rob grinned and pressed the firing controls. The Thunder's main guns roared to life, launching salvos of armor-piercing rounds at relativistic speeds. The pirates tried to dodge, but Guardian had calculated their likely evasion patterns. The first cruiser's shields flashed as they tried to stop the incoming rounds. But physics won out. The hypervelocity projectiles punched through their energy barriers and ripped into the ship's hull, tearing through decks and systems with unstoppable force. 1 down, Guardian announced as the first cruiser's engines died. 5 to go. The remaining pirates changed tactics, trying to surround the Thunder. Their smaller weapons fired continuously, creating a web of energy beams around the ancient warship. They're trying to overwhelm our shields, Alex reported from engineering. Power levels holding steady. Activate point defense grid, Guardian ordered. Show them why quantity has a quality all its own. Hundreds of smaller guns on the Thunder's hull came to life. They fired streams of small but deadly projectiles in every direction, creating a metal storm that shredded incoming missiles and forced the pirate ships to keep their distance. EMP rounds ready, Rob called out. Targets locked. Fire at will, Guardian replied. The Thunder's secondary batteries launched their special ammunition. When the rounds detonated near 2 of the pirate cruisers, they released powerful electromagnetic pulses. The pirates' sophisticated electronic systems, optimized for performance rather than durability, failed instantly. 3 ships disabled, Dan reported with excitement. The other 3 are pulling back. But Guardian wasn't finished. The Thunder pursued the retreating pirates, its main guns still firing with deadly accuracy. Another cruiser lost its engines to a well-placed shot, leaving only 2. Last chance to surrender, Guardian transmitted to the remaining pirates. The pirate commander responded by trying to jump away. But the Thunder had been ready for this. A final salvo of specialized rounds detonated near their jump drives, disrupting the delicate equipment. No escape, Guardian said. No mercy for those who threaten human colonies. The battle ended minutes later. 6 pirate cruisers, the pride of modern engineering, floated dead in space, defeated by a ship their crews had dismissed as obsolete. Battle complete, Guardian announced. All hostile ships disabled. Colony is secure. The alien crew sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Their primitive stations had helped them defeat the most advanced ships in known space. "I don't understand," Alex finally said. "How did we win so easily?" "Because humans build things to last," Guardian explained. "The Thunder wasn't built to look impressive or win design awards. It was built to fight and survive. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." Below them, the colony erupted in celebration as they realized they were safe. The Starseeker's crew watched in amazement, their understanding of human technology forever changed. "Now then," Guardian said, "shall we collect our prisoners? I believe the colony has some nice cells waiting for them." 1 week after the battle, the Thunder floated in orbit above the colony, its hull bearing only minor scorch marks from the fight. The Starseeker remained nearby, while teams of alien engineers studied the ancient warship with newfound respect. Captain James stood on the Thunder's bridge, talking with Guardian's hologram. The alien captain had changed his view completely after watching the battle. "I've sent my report to Fleet Command," James said. "They didn't believe it at first. A 200-year-old human warship defeating 6 modern cruisers. They thought I was joking." "What convinced them?" Guardian asked, though the AI's tone suggested it already knew the answer. "The battle recordings," James replied, "and the fact that all 6 pirate ships are now sitting in the colony's prison dock. The Thunder's weapons punched clean through their best shields like they weren't even there." Tom and his team had spent the week documenting everything about the Thunder. They discovered features that modern ships had never thought to include. Backup systems for the backup systems, manual controls that could work without power, and armor that could repair itself given time. "Look at this," Tom said, showing a group of alien engineers a section of the Thunder's hull. "The armor doesn't just absorb damage. It's designed to channel energy away from critical systems. Even a direct hit from a planet-killer weapon wouldn't destroy the ship." The colony below had declared the Thunder and its crew heroes. The settlers were amazed that their savior had been a ship older than their settlement. They asked if the Thunder would stay to protect them. "Actually," Guardian said to the gathered crews of both ships, "I have received new orders from Earth Command." Everyone turned to the AI's hologram in surprise. They hadn't known Guardian was still in contact with Earth. "The Thunder was never truly abandoned," Guardian explained. "We were part of a network of sleeper ships, placed strategically throughout human space. Waiting, watching, protecting. There are others like me out there, ready to wake up when needed." The aliens looked at each other in shock. How many more of these incredibly powerful warships were hiding in deep space? "Earth has authorized me to offer an opportunity," Guardian continued. "The Thunder needs a crew. Not just for one battle, but for continued operations. Would any of you be interested in serving aboard a primitive human vessel?" Tom stepped forward immediately. "I would be honored," he said. "This ship has taught me more about engineering in 1 week than I learned in years of study." Rob, Alex, and Dan joined him. One by one, other aliens from both ships volunteered. They had seen what the Thunder could do, and they wanted to be part of it. "What about you, Captain James?" Guardian asked. James smiled, looking around the bridge that he had once dismissed as obsolete. "Someone needs to explain to the rest of the galaxy why they shouldn't underestimate human engineering. I volunteer to be that someone." "Excellent," Guardian said. "Welcome aboard, all of you. First order of business, there are reports of pirate activity in the next sector. Shall we show them what a museum piece can do?" The new crew took their stations, no longer seeing the physical controls and sturdy design as primitive. They understood now that humanity had built their ships not to impress, but to endure. The Thunder had taught them that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. As the ancient warship prepared to jump to its next mission, Captain James looked at his new command with pride. The Thunder wasn't just a relic anymore. It was a legend, a testament to human engineering and determination. "Guardian," James said, "set course for the next sector. Let's go remind the galaxy why humans build things to last." The Thunder's engines glowed bright blue as the massive ship prepared to jump. Its hull might have been 2 centuries old, but its spirit was timeless. The galaxy was about to learn that human engineering never truly went out of style. It just got better with age. As they jumped away, the colony's children watched from their schools, pointing at the massive ship that had saved them. They would grow up telling stories about the day an ancient human warship proved that being old didn't mean being obsolete. The legend of the Thunder had only just begun.